Hey everybody, welcome back. David on here with an unboxing, and today we are taking a look at something from, yep, you guessed it, Hot Toys. And the box has taken a little bit of a beating, and this is going to be the Black Suit Cavell Superman and Nightmare Batman 2-pack that was ordered so long ago I forgot I even ordered it. But because of the delays, they gave me 10% off. Gee, thanks, Hot Toys. I don't know if that'll even cover the tax, but nevertheless, we'll go ahead and start getting into this. But literally, I actually forgot I had even ordered this. And so now you'll be seeing it for the first time along with me. The box has taken a little bit of beating, so we'll see how the interior packaging looks once I get it out of there. And there you go, Nightmare, Batman, and Superman 6th scale set. Because if you're going to get them, you may as well get them at the same time. Ordered through Sideshow a lifetime ago. I think I ordered this about 10 years ago. What do you think?
It wasn't.
It's about a decade. And there you got a picture of the two figures. Some art and photography. Really a plain box, actually. There's not too much going on with this box. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of Hot Toys. I'm not like a massive Hot Toys collector. These appealed to me, I think, because it was so long ago that I ordered it. I don't remember why I did.
I'm surprised because you're not a big Superman or Batman fan like all that.
Yeah, I like them, but it's like...
Yeah, but not to buy a Hot Toy.
Yeah. Like I said, I really don't remember why I ordered this. But it was like, what, 2 years ago? I don't know. That's a slip cover, yep. And we'll go ahead and peel that off.
Oh, it's like that.
Yeah, and you peel off that sleeve and you get this window box here. It's kind of hard to see into it because of the reflection. But of course, we'll go ahead and we'll open this up and pull them out and take a look at them and then look at their articulation and everything. So I guess I'm going to have to break a seal on the bottom there. I do have some 6th scale figures, but not much in the way of Hot Toys. I'm not huge on modern collecting as far as action figures is concerned anyways. So here we go. Pull out this tray. And I've got to be careful because this cardboard is very thin. I'm kind of surprised how thin that cardboard is. Difficult really even to see. They got multiple trays here. They've taped it to the top with hand accessories. There's some flashlight batteries, I guess, to light up Superman's eyes, Batman's accessories, his guns and binoculars, and some hand change-outs. And of course, that's the Ben Affleck Batman in there. And this backing just drops out. See how this is secured. Sometimes these are taped on. Nope. There we go. So I can lift that off. You can get a better look at it now. But we're going to take them out and stand them up and see how they look. He has faceplate changeouts, which I am not a fan of those. I don't like that. But yeah, we'll get these out and see how they look. And here we go. This is the Cavell Superman out of the package now so that we can take a look at him. I've decided we're going to have to do these separately. And this was actually a bit of a task, trying to figure out his head and the batteries in the eyes. I've taken the other head apart, as you can see down here, because the second head is actually in two sections, and then you have to put the batteries inside, and I left the battery cover, which is this little door with this tiny screw, off for the time being so that I can work with this a little bit better. So we'll take a look at him and get our initial overall impression of the sculpting and the uniform. I think the uniform is kind of spot on, although the S emblem does kind of look like a reflective sticker almost. Remember those old reflective stickers like they used to have in the 80s?
Mm-hmm. They used to put it on your notebook.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what kind of material this is. It is a very, very thin material, and it has that like sparkliness to it. I'm kind of concerned about it because I'm like, is this going to easily tear? Is this a material that could be easily damaged?
It's like a spandex because it's real stretchy.
Yeah.
And it moves a lot. But I see why they used it because it's form-fitting.
Yeah.
So you can see his body and the suit would be on the movie. So I can understand the use of it, but it is like a spandex type.
And it is ultra thin.
It is very thin.
So that did concern me. Another thing that stood out for me is how thin the stand is. The stand is very thin and hollow. And by the way, when I was taking this figure out of the packaging and trying to remove the plastic little bags that are over the hands and feet, let me move this cape. And this cape does have a wire. It's also extremely thin, but it does have a wire in it so that you can pose with it. When I was removing the bags, one of his ankles became detached. I managed to snap it back in underneath the material. And of course, we'll be testing the articulation, swapping out the head to see how that looks, so on and so forth. But the thinness of the stand concerns me in that, and I appreciate this part of the stand, and I'll show the back of this in a minute, where it has that thick cable with a clamp at the top, similar to my Matrix Neo figure, because that's a lot more sturdy than the types of stands they usually provide. But I'm worried that that will chafe the costume and wear it out as the weight of the figure lies against this stand. And this is the type I'm talking about, where it's this clamp with this really thick cable with a spring inside, and these thumb switches tend to break off of these also, so be careful. So I like that it's a better quality posing piece, because I guess you're going to want to pose him floating in some respect, but also it concerns me that it could do a lot of rubbing to the costume. That's what I'm suggesting. So let's get him off there and look at his articulation. Or we didn't look at the accessories yet, though. He doesn't have much. A couple of replacement wrist joints, and they are famous for getting broken wrists. A couple of, I suppose, flying position hands. Get that in focus, please. There we go. Good detail on them. Grasping hands, and of course he has fists on the figure. Good detail there as well. grasping or clutching. And I dropped one. That's okay, here we go. And then the spare head, which is actually two pieces. The gritting teeth and lighting up eyes. Sculpted hair, of course. And it's a huge gap because this is a separate piece that goes inside the head with a little toggle switch for the eyes. You turn that on. It's actually kind of difficult to get to. And then that would fit in there, and then the whole unit would plug into the head, and that's where you get that effect from. And this is difficult to get. Now that I've put it in there, I cannot get it back out unless I put it on the body. So we'll show you that here in a moment as we take a look at the articulation on this overall. As I stated, there's a wire. It's only, well, 3 wires, because there's a wire on the bottom and on the edges of this cape for posability. The cape is stitched to the costume. There is a zipper back here, although there's not much to see if you were to try to open it, and it's very difficult to get in there anyways. Really, it's just an exposed neck joint there, where it snaps into the torso, and the torso, I believe, is black under this costume. And this is very, very tight and form-fitting, and you can see where they even sealed off these wrists. So you would have a rough time getting this off if you really wanted to do that. Up and down, side tilt actually isn't that bad at all. Good mobility on the head. Shoulders to about right there. If I push it any further, I feel like I'm going to have problems. Up. The costume is actually restricting it. And I can feel the costume stretching too. Yeah, I'm having a hard time getting his arms up, because the costume is pulling his arms back down. So if you wanted to pose him flying with his arms out, you might have some difficulty. The elbow looks like a double joint, but it doesn't pose to a double joint. It kind of stops like right there. That's almost a double joint. Bicep tilt. No forearm turning, just at the wrist. Wrist mobility looks pretty good. And we could try a hand change out here. Comes off easily enough. Putting it back might be interesting, because it is a small plug. There we go. That's not too bad. That's not as bad as some of the things I've had to deal with before. Ab crunch. That's about it. That's about as far as that's going to go. Side tilt is better than the ab crunch. Waist turn limited by the costume. The costume is pulling him back. It's a very stretchy material. It's like an elastic material, but it does have its restrictions. Splits. Yes, he is a dancer. He can do that full split. Rear leg extension right there. Forward leg extension. Double jointed at the knee. Although that looks really boxy right there, doesn't that? Doesn't that look like a bit much? Wow. Ankle tilt forward and backward. That's not bad right there. That's pretty good actually. Forward tilt. The side-to-side tilt's not too bad either. And that just came off again. You heard that snap? It's completely off. That's the second time. All right, it's back in now. And we'll change out that head now. And you see how now that's attached on there? What do you think?
I think it's a good likeness.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a big Superman fan, so.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it's a good likeness. It looks good.
Well, we'll go ahead and pull apart. Give me a break here. Pull apart Batman. The Batman's going to take a little longer, and I'm expecting it to be really restrictive because of his costume design. But yeah, overall impressions. The posability's not too bad. The costume looks good, but I'm concerned about it. I'm concerned about it like splitting or getting worn from the posing. Look at this wrist. It just kind of it just fell out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of fell out of there. I wasn't even doing anything with it, and it just came out.
I don't like how the head change out goes with the light.
Yeah,
that's kind of weird.
It's awkward to work with too. And that little switch, I had to use a screwdriver for it. It's got the tiniest screw ever.
Yeah.
That's a lot to deal with, I think. But you know.
Because I've seen them do head change outs with light up eyes, and it's usually just a switch or something.
Yeah.
But I guess they didn't want that in the back of the head, because it does get kind of wonky on the back of the head.
Yeah.
Now the light's out.
Yeah, it's fading already.
Yeah.
That's not as bright as it was.
You better turn it off.
Yeah.
Or you lose your battery.
Oh, thanks. Battery's already dying.
Had it on 5 minutes.
I know. Let's move on to Batman then. And here is the Affleck Nightmare Batman out of the box. And again with the stand. And again, the stand is very thin. I found the stand to be very, very thin and kind of hollow feeling. Batman Nightmare. Overall look of the figure, he does kind of look like he's from the scene in the film. And it's amazing to me that this look is more popular than the actual costume. This is like one quick scene. They did a good job, if I get that back into focus properly here, on the eyes. And there's a mechanism inside the head. The head's pretty elaborate inside too. And I'll show you that in a moment. A mechanism inside the head that makes it look as if his eyes can move, but I can't get it to work. I like the costuming, and I have the mezco of this particular figure also. And he's got a wired coat as well. I believe there's wires in there. The coat is very thin, and I don't know what they did to it or coated it with. It felt like little bits of flakes or something were coming off already. And I know that there's a history of a lot of problems with sort of pleather material with these figures. This is a very, very thin material with an odd coating on it. Just thought I would note that. Nightmare Batman, of course, from the Batman versus Superman film, where Batman has a bad dream, a nightmare, where there's a scenario by which Superman becomes corrupt and takes over the planet. So a sort of a Homelander type Superman, only he ain't faking it. Like Homelander is, he just sort of says, okay, I'm in charge now and that's it. And who could resist him? Well, Batman tried. In his dream. And that whole dream sequence looked like it might have been a better film than the one we were watching. Accessories. We've got an additional scarf, a longer one. A couple of faceplate changeouts, which I've already said I hate faceplate changeouts. Although they did good detail on this mouth, but you could have gave me a whole head too, just saying. Pair of goggles. A pistol. And I've tried this and no, the magazine does not come out and it does not cock. So it's just a showpiece, although it does have a hole there. Is that in proper focus? So it keeps, there we go. It kept wanting to focus on just the sleeve there, back there, instead of on the actual item. We'll look at some hands. He's got one pair of grasping hands. He's got fists on the figure. Come on, guys. And then two right pistol grip hands. And I'm like, what's up with that? So he can't hold both guns at the same time if I wanted to do that? You're taking away my options, Hot Toys. Replacement wrists. And then this rifle, which has the Joker card duct taped to it, and an indication, I suppose, that at some point he must have killed the Joker in this reality. One thing I will notice also is that the barrel is bent up. This barrel is not straight. So there is a defect in the printing of this particular gun. I don't know if anyone else has had that problem. It does have an extension on the stock. Magazine is rooted, does not come out. And then the final accessory is a pair of binoculars. And the binoculars are wonky also. They're not straight, but I guess they're supposed to look like broken binoculars. However, in the case of the rifle, a broken barrel wouldn't work. Let's go ahead and pull him off and take a look at his articulation and everything. And I noticed also with the head, and by the way, that's one of those ball hugger stands, and I hate those. They don't work very well in my opinion. With his head, the whole cowl comes off to get inside here, you know. So obviously, I mean, he can turn side to side, but the whole cowl moves with it. Up and down actually isn't bad, but you're not going to get really much in the way of tilt. Arms to about right there. You know, obviously his material is going to restrict him quite a bit. And this feels like foam. This feels like soft foam piling. Elbow to about right there. Bicep tilt. Crunch, hardly. Side to side, not going to happen either, but you know, you anticipated that because of the bat armor underneath here. Even turning side to side, you can feel like the body wants to turn, but it just can't. And of course that is on with a zipper as well, that you can see under the coat here. The coat does have a lining. I'll give him that. Utility belt, I believe it feels like it's attached. It's hard to tell, but it feels like it's attached to the pants. Splits. Batman's not a dancer. It actually feels like I'm going to tear the pants if I split this. Upward movement. It doesn't want to move either. It doesn't want to come up. There's a lot of restriction on this costume, and it might be because of the bat armor again, because I can feel it all on his lower torso underneath. I can feel it in there. It's restricting the movement. Knees are double jointed. Detachment at the boot, so it's not directly connected to the bottom, so you get that kind of weird shifting. Ankle tilt, though, is pretty decent. Hopefully these don't pop out. And I'll show you this part. There we go. See, there's a huge weird plug in there. And then the faceplate comes out that way, and they give you a tool for it, which is this thing. And I guess you push it through here. Let me show you again, because I don't know if I got that. You see the spot on the inside? I'm trying to show it. There's a white spot. You see it? And this tool goes in there and pushes that faceplate out. And then you can put in another one to be more dramatic if you so choose. I like that one better, actually. What do you think of the look of this one?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not personally a fan of Batman.
Yes.
But I have seen the pictures of it and, artist rendition, and it looks like it looks good. But when you get to certain armor, your posability is zero almost.
And that's a huge problem with, look at that. That's a huge, yeah, and then you see how pitiful that is under there.
Yeah.
But that's a huge problem with the Batmans in particular, is how well can they move.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're a huge Batman fan and you want to do some action photography, or you want to pose, because I've watched some YouTube videos and people do some great poses and these traumatic scenes. But with something like that, especially with the fabric, if you force it and you're not careful, you can damage it, and that's a lot of money to damage.
It is.
You just have to really be careful and just do the static museum poses with some figures. Others you can do more with, but somebody will say just put some hot water on it.
Yeah, right.
And then put it in the pose and let it
hair dry it and microwave it, and
you
can see I'm having a lot of trouble here, and that's because the gauntlet slips up every time you try to get the hand on, so it won't stay on. And that means you got to push it from the elbow, but the wrist joint moves, and that's making this hand change out very difficult.
Yeah. See, and all of that's kind of like, do I even want to be bothered?
Yeah, it's frustrating. I think I got it. All right, let's get them posed and put them side by side and get some final thoughts here. All right, there we go. The Superman and Nightmare Batman together on the stand. While I was trying to get the Superman up on the stand, the clamp fell apart. And I haven't got it completely back together yet. I still got the little, you see the little nut there that fell off. So that was nice. The cape, even though it's a really thin material, is still too heavy for the wires. So I'm having difficulty getting them to stay up the way that I want them to. And another issue that I'm having is with that strap. That strap just kind of does whatever it wants on that rifle. It's all over the place, and it won't tame. It's some kind of weird vinyl. It's too short for me to really shoulder it if I want him to hold the rifle, and it's too stiff to just set there. It won't hang, so I'm gonna have to play around with it, try to figure it out. I like the overall physical look of the figures, but I feel like there's still a lot of quality issues. Issues with the posability, issues with the stand, issues with the materials that have been used, difficulty with the hand change outs, so on and so forth. Basically the same type of complaints I always have with a lot of these 6th scale figures. And I know most people consider, and I did a video on this subject, consider the quality to be the sculpt, but there's more to the quality than just the sculpt, in my humble opinion. I think that especially for what you're paying, you deserve a lot more than just a halfway decent sculpt when you're spending hundreds of dollars on some of these figures.
I agree with that because, and some people, again, like we talked about before, they love the dramatic poses, and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And they like to do, the flying and splitting and do all kinds of stuff. But if you paid all that money and you can't do that, and you look on the website and they're doing all of these like cartwheels and backflips and doing all kind of weird stuff, you're thinking, man, I'm gonna be able to do that too, and then you get it and you can't. But overall, the face looks good, the body looks good, but like you said, you want it to be able to do the things they said. You talk about that one company that calls them action statues.
Oh yeah, that Medicos, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure figures. They say, they don't call them action figures.
Yeah, so if you know your figure can't do that, then that's what you need to call it. Hey, look, you're gonna get Ben Affleck and Cavell, and this is all they're gonna do. Advertise it as such, so that people won't get this idea, because then they complain and they make videos and they want to send it back and do all kinds of stuff like that.
Or because they have a brand loyalty, they make up all sorts of excuses, and that's kind of what we were alluding to previously. Oh, you got to use a hairdryer. Oh, you got to submerge it in hot water, and you know what? I shouldn't have to do that after spending hundreds of dollars on a figure.
Yeah, but other people love to just, they're set it up on this shelf just like that, and they're happy.
Yeah.
And if that's what you're gonna do, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But
because they really are more like action statues, in my opinion. These are not figures. I'd be very careful posing with them. Joints can pop out, joints can break.
I'm more concerned with the clothing, because if that clothing tears, you're not going to find somebody to fix it. And if you do, you're going to pay for that, because now you got to ship the figure.
Yeah.
They got to fix it.
You need an expert.
Yeah, and it's a specialized thing. That's nothing you can just do or take to your local dry cleaner that got that sign says alterations on it.
Yeah, alterations indeed. I want to grab the Mezco for that Batman real quick.
Yeah.
Because oddly enough, and here is the Mezco down here. Oops.
Oh, you got the same mouth and everything.
Yeah. I really kind of feel like I got more out of the Mezco one. Believe it or not. It's more posable. The material is thicker. on the coat and the clothing. I mean, the interior doesn't look as good as Batman's. You see, there's no lining in there really. This kind of folded it over. But I actually got more out of the Mezco. It's not as detailed because it's smaller, but you would expect for the smaller figure to be harder to work with. You know what I mean? And it isn't. Oddly enough. But yeah, for the price that you're paying, guys, you should be able to get a little more out of it, I think. Again, they look really good, and if that's all you care about, that's fine. But when I do these reviews, I dig into it a little deeper than that. You know, I account for the posability, I account for the difficulty to work with it, if it's hard to work with, difficulty, the hand change outs were actually kind of complicated for the Batman because the gauntlets just slip right off, and posability very limited, which I anticipated because of the armor. I'm not trying to take anything away from you if you enjoy that. I know there's a lot of people that are really dedicated to Hot Toys, but again, I warn you, be dedicated to it on a case-by-case basis rather than just brand loyalty. Final thoughts?
Like you said, overall, just looking at it, I think it looks fine.
Yes.
Because I like museum poses.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't ask much of these companies. I just really want a good head sculpt and the clothing to look fine. But I do agree and I do understand fully what you're saying. And but I mean, again, just looking at it, it looks good. I know who it is. Those aren't my kind of characters, so I wouldn't buy it. But I think they look good overall, and it would look good on the shelf. They would look good in a collection. You know, I don't have a lot of thoughts on it because, you know, it ain't my thing, but I think they look good overall. The costume, just capturing the character from the movie, I think they did that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey guys, what do you think? Would you buy these? Is this something you'd be interested in? Do you think it's too expensive for what you're getting? Do you think it's a fair price? What are your thoughts? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. We hope that you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff. Check out some of the other videos. And if that's it, then what more can I say? But thanks for watching. And we will see you again soon.